Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are blessed to have my husband with us. Say hello, baby.
Hello, baby. All around the world.
Let's get into it. So today we are going to talk about one of our experiences that we've had when we first started getting to know each other, which was a long distance relationship, and how we built trust and how we stuck through it and went through the process from dating and now into marriage while in long distance. So love, where do you want to start?
Start at the beginning.
Okay, what's the beginning?
Well, I think beyond anything, we had to learn how to keep in contact. I think that's the first thing that we had to try and do, because with everything, having to look at how far you were or how far I was from you.
Yeah.
The one thing that we had in common was how we felt about each other.
Yeah.
And then how we knew that with the distance came the fact that almost within every few weeks there would be a fight.
True.
That would arise because we're not so close to each other.
Yes. And those fights weren't even they would come from anything. It wasn't even fights as to you did something wrong or something like that. It was just fights from the place of frustration that I'm dating you, I love you, and I haven't seen you in 2 months. What the hell? So how did we manage in the process of the fights? Because we had to notice that fights were happening. And for me, I think we noticed that fights were happening if we didn't see each other over 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months is an actual thing. People actually go without seeing each other for that long. And they're within the same country, But we both had things that we were busy doing.
Yeah.
From our different points. And by the way, she was in the Eastern Cape, I was in Gauteng.
Yes.
I was in Pretoria. So we had to try by all means to make sure that, okay, because now we realize that there's those petty fights that happen.
Yeah.
We have to somehow make sure that we see each other, more than anything. And thank God for video calls, right?
Yeah.
That kept one sane.
Yeah.
But when you couldn't find the other, you're trying to call the other and they're not picking up because they're either busy or they had we both had a life outside each other. So that really frustrated us. Frustrated me from the point that I was at. But I think one thing that we did well is to make sure that there was absolutely no day that ended with us not having had spoken. Yeah, because we literally would speak for hours then.
Yeah.
Now we can't do that.
Yeah, no.
Because
we live together.
So
we live together.
Even just explaining how a day is like or how the day was like, it's much more
different,
short-clipped
now.
Yeah, than it was before. Because you had to actually, and that's one of the things, that's one of the plus signs about it, having to actually communicate each and everything that's happening within the day.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that kind of keeps that connection going, because it's like letting somebody see the world through your eyes.
Yeah.
And letting somebody actually experience the whole day. I think that's one of the points that we could actually put out there, that actually communicating and not actually being, vague about what happened.
The details of the day.
Yeah.
I think in essence, like what he's saying is so true. And if you you are in a long distance relationship, right? Sometimes people let go because they say, no, we fight or we lost the spark, whatever the case may be. If you properly look into it, and not all the time, but if you properly look into it, it could be the frustration of the long distance, because in each of us, there's a desire to be held.
Yeah.
There's a desire to be talked to. There's a desire to be touched. There's a desire to know that if there's a problem, if there's anything, I can call you and you're right over here, right? So if now your person is miles away and kilometers away, your person is kilometers away, it's hard to have that. It's hard to have that thing that says that I've got someone as well. So hence I'm saying that if you are probably in a long distance relationship, before you throw it in the bin and say, you know what, nah, I'm done, perhaps look into it. When last did you see each other? Because it could be the desires that you have. Now you are being frustrated because they are being deprived. You're not getting them. So now you're getting frustrated. It doesn't necessarily mean that the love isn't there. So moving on.
And just kind of add to that, you know, the fact that when things were happening around me, let's say I was at work or something, and then a woman or a girl would make a pass, I would immediately call you.
Yeah.
And be on some, yo, babe.
Yeah.
So this girl, she's looking at me funny, and she's saying such stuff and such stuff. Those are the things that make a person trust you even more, because you know you're vulnerable with the things that you think should be a secret. You know, because the more you open up in those spaces, is the more you open that space of, I can truly trust you with my heart. You know, that type of thing. So that was just to add on the communication and the actual part of being able to detail the communication and the deal in it.
That's so true. I love the point that he made. I'm sorry, love, to cut you off. I don't want to forget what I want to say. I loved what he just said now, that the details, when you're in a long distance relationship, the details matter. When someone asks, what are you wearing today? The details. Give me a picture that I can look at in my mind. Paint it out to me. When you say, how was your day? Like what my husband was saying, that today when we talk about how was your day at work, love, it's quite shorter than what it was before. Before, we would go into the details. I woke up at this time. I did this. Work was like this and whatever and whatever. Those details are so important, and you can't take them for granted because you're not there. And also another thing, I remember while we were dating, a few months after that, I realized, even if we had an argument, I realized that I couldn't stay angry for long, because I didn't have the privilege of you driving to me and speaking to me so that we can fix it. So if I stayed angry and held on to it, I missed out on the other every day. And therefore, those little buckets that I have, which is the desire of the heart, the desire to be touched, the desire to be loved, they kept running empty and empty and empty, because I was angry and I was not present in your day and you were not present in my day. So I had to learn in that space that I cannot be angry for long. If there's a problem, we have to talk about it. And that's when communication for us began. One of the things that we have learned, or one of the things that we are, strong? Yeah, is communication. Our ability to communicate about everything and anything, no matter how stupid, no matter how bizarre, but the ability to just come and communicate about it. So we developed that through those experiences, that I knew that I can't sleep if we're not okay. You can't sleep if we're not okay. We have to talk about it. We have to address it. We have to put it on the table. And the reason why we have to do this, the privilege of saying that I'm going to see you tomorrow and we're going to talk about it, is not there. So we have to fix it now.
And you know, just to add on that as well, not being able to stay mad, it kind of it's in our marriage even now, you know. So it's a great thing that we actually had a school for it.
Yes.
Even before we got married, because things are much easier because we learned all those things. I was just telling a couple that we were with on the launch, and what one of the things that we have that's actually quite great is in fact, like you just said, communication.
Yes.
Like we were able to learn that such a long time ago, that we are now at a space where we actually can say our year didn't have much trouble at all.
Yes.
We are over a year
in
marriage, by the way. So that's why I'm saying
most
people would actually say the first year is always the hardest, because now you're learning this and this and that.
Each other.
We were able to actually learn all those things without actually being present to each other.
Yes.
The only probably the things that we are getting to see now in our marriage is how clumsy I can be at times.
How we don't expose yet.
And how clumsy she can be at times, And it's not necessarily stuff
He's bringing juices before. I mean, guys, we just started this. Why is he bringing
I'm just
these
saying
things?
that, it's not necessarily something that somebody should be ashamed of.
No, I'm not.
It's literally just, it's the small stuff, small things that we're learning now, of which there aren't necessarily things that can break us because of what we learned before. And we learned it when we were very far apart.
Yes.
That's one of the points.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So in a long distance relationship, don't minimize a long distance relationship. Don't minimize the things that come with a long distance relationship. They are so powerful, they are so profound, they are so important. Guys, there's a fly that keeps passing. It's hot in South Africa, in Cape Town. Ignore that. So
she prayed the rain away, so there's only just the sun now.
Yeah, we're just burning. But anyway, in a long distance relationship, don't minimize the experience you get in the things where when you communicate in detail, in the things that you get to understand that I don't have the privilege of being angry for long, so I have to solve this. In the things that what did you just mention now, my love?
Communication.
Yeah. So those things about communication, because today we can say that we are reaping the fruits of what we planted. This also means that if you are in a long distance relationship and you're not practicing these things well, it means that if you do decide that you're going to get married, you're going to reap what you put in it before. Whatever you mastered in it then is what you're going to get from it later on when you're married. So for us, the fact that we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable, because that's the thing about communication. Communication is hard because it strips you naked. Someone said to me at the launch, because I have a blog, right? And then I think they read my blog, because she said to me, because I was saying something and I said, oh, I cried when my husband said this. And then she said to me, you're always crying. And this person doesn't know me. And I knew that if they say that, it means they subscribe to the blog. So they're getting messages so they can see what I journaled in the day. And I said to them, the crying sometimes, it isn't even that you are sad. The crying is that we as people, we have defenses. We have things that make us who we are. We have things that say, I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'm strong. I'm not going to allow anyone get to this place, right? So when now you communicate, you're taking layers off. You're taking pride off. You're taking all those things, you're taking them off, and then that becomes an experience where you're like, I wish I didn't have to talk about this, and then the tears will come. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that communication may be hard at times simply because of it strips away our selfishness. It strips away who we are, especially in a relationship because in a relationship, you serve each other. In a relationship, there is no this is what I like, this is what there's no I in marriage. There's no I, there's a we. So I'm here to serve him, he's here to serve me. So I can't afford to be 1 foot in, he can't afford to be 1 foot in, because it's not gonna work. So those are the things that we learned, and we learned these 3 things through the long distance relationship. So I stand for long distance relationships. Do you think they are practical and that they will work?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, look at us today.
Yeah.
I think they definitely work. It's just a matter of honestly trusting your significant other, and trusting more than anything God. I think that's the one anchor that we both had that was working for us. Trusting and believing that God is always there, and trusting and believing that if I fumble or if I do something that's not right, I gotta account to God for it. I gotta go
powerful.
back and say, you know what, I can't not speak about this to her, because at the end of the day, you see me and you judge me accordingly.
Yeah.
So it's easier to kind of go back to you and say, you know what, today I messed up.
Yes.
This is what I did. And I'm not talking about cheating and stuff.
Yes,
There's a whole lot of factors that are around just
messing up. There's more to life than cheating, guys.
Yeah.
And there's more to life than, being dishonest. All of these things that are glorified as the biggest things. The smallest things can end you. A person can be as loyal, like they don't cheat, they don't whatever, but they don't need to in a very important level. They don't communicate. When they're angry, they shut down. That thing will kill everything, So hence we're saying that it's not cheating when he says I messed up. You can continue, my love. Sorry.
Thank you. Anyway, so it's just that, man. And you really gotta have that relationship with God, and having that relationship with God also makes it easier for how can I say, physical stuff as well.
Okay.
The physical touch of a person, because we really stayed true to what we wanted and what we didn't want to cross before marriage.
Yes.
Up until a certain point.
Yes.
Yes. So that relationship with God also kind of helped a lot.
Assisted with that.
And the fact that because we were so far apart, and we could see that, there's a difference when you're saying I've dated somebody for so long and they're always around you, and I've dated someone for so long and they're so far away from me. You know what I mean? So there's also the fact that everything that we were doing had to be kind of fast forwarded, so to say. I had to meet your mom, I had to try and make sure that your mom knows that I'm you're a
dude in my life.
Yes, I'm alive. Yeah. I'm there, Yes. And it had to be fast forwarded because of the fact that we were so far apart.
Yes.
So she had to know when I'm in PE, you'd want to come and see me. And
who I'm seeing.
Yes, and when you in Gauteng, where are you?
Yeah.
So those things had to be kind of pushed into a short space of time. And they happen perfectly, because looking at life now, it really looks like, it doesn't even look, it feels like it was a plan literally made by God.
Yeah.
Some years later, it's like 4 years later now, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
What's going on? I'm going to finish it, then we'll continue. I'll cut this
Pause. These are ads. Kleenex.
These are ads.
Kleenex.
We're back. So it was 2017 October, 2018 October, 2019 October, 2020 October. Yeah.
So it's 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the things. Like you get to prioritize your life accordingly. You get to know exactly what you want when you want it, and how you should maneuver yourself around and get into that space of family knowing.
Yes.
And all of that stuff.
And I think my husband touched on a lot of things now that I want to get into, but this video is going to be too long, so we'll have to do another video, because he touched on being clear about, when we talk about physical touch, how far you're willing to go and why you're willing to go that far, how you built that, and where he was before we met, where I was, because I was in my own celibacy journey, he was on his own celibacy journey. So there's a lot more to it, right? But I don't want to get into those things. Perhaps later, if he decides to join me again in conversation, we'll touch on those things.
You never know.
So but today, the only thing we wanted to say is, in a long distance relationship, don't minimize the benefits that come with that. There's power in communication. Communication
I actually
is
find
not
that you
easy.
communicate even better than people who see each other regularly.
True.
Because of the fact that you like you were saying, you're so bare with whatever that you speak about.
Yes.
So you literally don't leave anything unturned.
Yes.
You
don't leave no stone unturned. You talk about everything, right? So, and those things, how they later come into play in your relationship if you decide to take it to the next level. Well, today we are gonna leave it there. Communicate.
And cut. Is that how we do it?
Thank you for subscribing. We are on 24. I hope you like. I hope you comment. Have a blessed week.
And if you're seeing this like years later, this is 2021.